Good morning to all of you. So we are going to begin our today's webinar, Technology Revolution and Insight, today and tomorrow. On behalf of the Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Registrar, and the teaching community of Nurul Islam Center for Education, I extend a warm and hearty welcome to all the participants who have connected for this virtual webinar. The main focus of today's webinar is technology revolution. So I'll try to explain what is revolution and how it is taking place and what is the impact it is generating among the society or the people who are using that particular technology, and what is the impact of that. So we are going to discuss those things in detail in today's webinar. We are all familiar with this particular word called revolution. So this slide I have given to give you a flavor or to understand what is the impact it creates among in the society because of that particular technological changes. Just when you look back 25 or 30 years back, morning when you look at that corresponding railway station or person who is traveling on a train, so everybody will be viewing through a printed hard copy of the newspaper to know what is happening in and around us. But same thing when you look today, so everybody is viewing all the corresponding newses or what is happening in and around us through a smartphone. So that is a change or a shift in the technology because of the corresponding revolution that has happened in the technology. So revolution means that is change that has happened in the technology, and because of that, society has changed using or how effectively this can be used, or the humans or the society, how effectively human is going to use this particular technology in our day-to-day life. So today we are in the fourth industrial revolution. So we all know industrial revolution is taking place and we are in the fourth level. So just to give a feedback or history of that particular industrial revolution, so this particular slide is being given. First industrial revolution, so steam engine came into existence and we started using electricity, and lot of electrical components or commodities we started using during those period. And then computing came into existence and we started using all the corresponding computational devices or computing devices in our day-to-day activity. And now in the fourth revolution is called intelligence revolution, or the other name what we call here for this particular fourth revolution is called cyber physical system. So what is this cyber physical system? So normally this cyber, that terminology stands for computer and information technology related things. So that combination is normally called as cyber. And what we know, all the physical system means, so say be it a car, be it a washing machine, be it a smartphone, all these things are called physical systems. So cyber physical system means using the present day technology, we are going to interconnect all the corresponding physical system with the cyberspace. Cyberspace means all the computing resources and with a network. So there is an information flow will be there between the corresponding one physical system to another system. So that technology is called cyber physical system. That is our present day fourth industrial revolution. So cyber physical system, and these are some of the top technology trends in our fourth industrial revolution: artificial intelligence and machine learning, Internet of Things, big data, blockchains, cloud and edge computing, robotics, robots and cobots, autonomous vehicles, 5G network, and quantum computing. And in this webinar, we are going to see the basic how this particular technology has created an impact on our society and what is that corresponding technology behind that particular things. So that is, so we can see, because our time is limited, we can discuss some basics of this particular technology in today's webinar, so that it gives you a flavor how the technology revolution is happening in and around us. Without knowing that technology change, we started using that particular technology also. So it will give you a feel that, oh, because of this, we are using this particular technology, and the transformation that is happening in and around us is because of this particular changes. And definitely the employer market will also change because of the corresponding revolution that is happening in that particular technology. So we will discuss all those things at the end of this webinar. So let me start off with that first technology, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I think this particular terminology is nowadays familiar to all of us: machine learning and artificial intelligence. So intelligence means we know what is intelligence. So ability to handle the corresponding situation or handle these things in an effective manner. If he or she possesses some form of intelligence, so he can be able to handle that particular situation. So we have a natural process of training method. Normally we give training to the humans, and accordingly, so you can imbibe that intelligence to that particular human brain. Now, how artificially we are going to give the corresponding intelligence to an electronic device, so that that particular electronic device must be able to learn and it can react according to that particular situation. So that is the main thing or mechanism behind this artificial intelligence. You know, from that name itself, we can understand artificial intelligence. So because of the artificially, we are trying to give the corresponding intelligence capability to a machine, so that that particular machine can react or it can perform some jobs effectively as like a human. So that is the main impact of this particular technology. So now we have to immediately, so how artificially I can give this particular intelligence capacity, or how I can create this particular intelligence capacity in a machine. So what is the technology behind that? How it is possible for us to train or train a particular robot or train a particular machine to handle some unexpected situation in an effective manner. So for that, let us give you a small example of our natural process. In our natural process, we know brain is doing all the collecting all the signals, and it is generating the signals, and based on the signals that is being generated by our brain, we are functioning or we are responding to certain situation. So we get the control from brain, and accordingly we are responding to the corresponding situation based on the signals or control that is being received from brain. So that is how the humans are behaving nowadays. And in brain, we have lot of cells. Normally it is named as neurons. So in this particular slide, I have shown one particular example. So here we have a neuron. So that particular neuron has got different set of inputs. So it is capable of sensing the input signal received from a set of other nearby neurons, and it receives the signals, and after some time it generates some signal. I'll tell you. So once if you are receiving some signals, so this is something like a voltage potential. So signals which is being received by that particular neuron. So this voltage, so you have a neurotransmitter here. So these signals are being transmitted from this point to this point, and this so this is something like a voltage potential which is being transferred from one point to another point. And this particular neuron collects all the corresponding voltage level that is being transmitted by all my interconnected nearby neurons. And once if you are collecting all the corresponding nearby neuron voltage potentials of all nearby neurons, at one point you reach a threshold value. That is called action potential here in this terminology. So you receive a threshold value. Once if this particular neuron reaches that particular threshold value or action potential, this neuron will emit a signal, and that signal is fed through this axon and it is forwarded to the other neurons, and we have millions of neurons connected in our brain, and this is how the corresponding signal exchange is happening in our brain. So then you may ask, so how we are going to train this particular mechanism in an artificial manner? So we'll see how we are going to train that. So the basic functionality here is all neurons are capable of sensing the signals that is being transmitted by my nearby neurons, and it is capable of collecting all the corresponding signals. And once that particular neuron signal level increases above that corresponding action potential or the predefined threshold value, this neuron will also emit a signal, so that the nearby neurons will receive the signals from this neuron, and accordingly it goes. So now artificially, so we have to create the corresponding neuron cells like this. So here in this particular slide I've given, so this is one neuron, this is another neuron, this is another neuron. So normally we call this as particular input neurons. So this input neurons can be mapped to all our sensory organisms. So when somebody touches my hand, okay, you will get a feel of that. Okay, so when you see something, so that is another vision, is another sensing mechanism by which you are getting. So all these signals which are received through our sensory organisms are given to our brain, or given to the corresponding neurons or cells of our brain. So now all this particular, so now in artificially I am defining these are the corresponding input layer level neurons, and it is fed back to the middle layer neurons. So this middle layer neurons are going to excite or generate the signals based on the input signals received from this, and you can have any number of interconnected neurons like this, so that we can replicate the function of a brain. Now, how we are going to artificially train this? So just assume that when a small child, when he is playing, or when that particular child is doing something, so if the child is doing that particular thing in a correct manner, how we respond, we give some appreciation or we give a clapping. So that signal is being stored in the child brain that, okay, this activity is good or correct. And if that particular child is doing another activity which is not correct, so we give a negative sign of response, so that child stores that information, okay, we should not do this particular thing in near future. And that value is called here action potential, or the corresponding threshold value. So that value is being adjusted based on the learning process. So next time when the child come across the same situation, the child will react correctly, because already it has got some feedback, and accordingly some adjustment is there in the neuron level. So automatically the child will react correctly according to that particular situation. So this is how training happens in our brain in the natural process. The same thing is being simulated or recreated with the help of this particular artificial neuron structure, and normally we call it as artificial neural networks. So because of this particular technology, so we can train. So once if you create a mechanism of artificial neural networks with the interconnections, then we can have input layers, input signals that can be fed to that. You can train it, and that particular system will also behave something like a human. So because of this particular technology, so it is possible now. And now that's why we are saying it is the era is artificial intelligence or machine learning era. We are in that particular era. Okay. So now because of this particular technology, you can do a lot of things. You can effectively search something. Data mining means you can effectively search an information, or you can develop your own algorithms for doing some task, for solving some problems. Okay, then we can recognize pattern, you can differentiate, you can have, so we have lot of applications for this. So instead of human, this particular computer or this particular system must be able to perform a variety of tasks. So based on the corresponding knowledge that is being imparted or knowledge that is being given to that particular device, and based on that, it responds to that. So that's why it is called. Now we started talking about, that is artificial intelligence. Programs the ability to learn and sense like a human. Artificial intelligence means so that that machine must be able to sense and react something like a human. Okay, then what is machine learning then? So we started talking about of machine learning nowadays, and now we started talking about of deep learning. So ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So normally in our traditional process, we give some programs to the computer, and based on the corresponding instructions what we have given in that particular program, the computer will do the task repeatedly. So with the help of the machine learning, we don't have to write an explicit program for doing a particular job. So the algorithm has the ability to learn and form the corresponding instructions, and it will perform automatically without having an explicit program which is written to do a specific job. So that comes the concept of that machine learning. And now we started talking about of deep learning also. So with the help of this artificial neural networks, it can learn and adapt to changes. So now suppose if I'm going to a new place, so the climate is different, food habit is different. So as a human, we are adapting to that particular change, to new situation or to an unexpected situation. Similarly, with the help of this particular deep learning concept, that system also can be able to adapt to the unexpected situation or change according to the other environmental condition. The system will also adapt to that. Otherwise, our traditional computers, it will work according to the corresponding instructions or programs that is being given to that particular computer. But if you are having a deep learning system, automatically according to the corresponding changes that is happening in and around the environment, the machine will also change. So that capacity, we call it as deep learning. So we are in that particular era of artificial intelligence, machine learning and deep learning. So this is about a corresponding first technology. So when you look back, we started talking about of this particular artificial intelligence from 1950 onwards. The theoretical concepts are already defined in 1950s and 1960s, but we started practicing it only after 1980, and the machine learning flourishes in those particular period. And now we are in the process of using the applications of deep learning. So you may ask, so how are we using now? Yes, we started using this particular application in our day-to-day life also. I think most of us are familiar with this particular word, Amazon Alexa. So what is the role of that particular soft tool or that particular agent or mechanism? So it is doing a job of an office assistant. Assume that you have a manager in a company. So when the manager enters into his particular room, he will have an assistant. So he will make all the corresponding arrangement, and he will notify that today these are the corresponding appointments you have, and this is the priority of that particular appointment. And suppose the manager feels like you have to send a mail to the, just you manager will instruct, okay, you do one thing, Alexa, you send a mail of this particular matter to so and so. So normally we instruct, as a manager, we instruct that particular assistant, and that assistant will help us. So now the same, and assistant is a human, and accordingly the human will see the mood of the manager, and accordingly also the assistant will manage the situation. But now we are using Alexa as assistant. So Alexa will notify what are all the corresponding schedule, what is the priority of the schedule to that manager, and the manager can also respond and order Alexa, you have to send a mail, you check the mail and whether somebody has responded to that. So all these things manager can ask, and as like an assistant, this particular Alexa is responding to a human, and this particular Alexa is responding like a human. So the development team has implied lot of artificial intelligence mechanism to that particular module, so that it can understand the behavior of the person, and accordingly it is effectively communicating. And because of this emerging technology, we have started using that particular tools. So nowadays in our day-to-day life, we started using. That is why we are in this fourth industrial revolution. We started using this particular deep learning principles and mechanisms in our day-to-day life. Okay. So now this is something like a big picture that will give you an overall feel that suppose if you are having an effective deep learning system like this, so this particular deep learning system can analyze, it can create chart, it can extract the corresponding useful information, and you can do a lot of wonders with the help of this particular technology within a fraction of a second. That is the benefit of this particular technology. Okay. Then we move on to the another major thing normally nowadays we talk about is called IoT or Internet of Things. So what is this IoT or Internet of Things? Because we know what is Internet. Internet is a interconnection of so many computers, and I must be able to communicate effectively. So that is Internet. And what is this Internet of Things? So now things means be it a washing machine, be it a AC, be it a TV. So all the corresponding electrical and electronic devices or physical system that is being used by us in our day-to-day life, all those things you can call it as things. So now, because of the corresponding present-day technology, you can able to connect all the things to internet, and that forms a big picture called Internet of Things. You can connect all the corresponding things, that is, be it a bulb, be it an AC, be it a fan. So nowadays we started using, talking about a smart house. I will come to that. So now all the things that we can interconnect, and that forms a network, and accordingly, so you can do some processing or we can do some control signals explicitly with the help of that particular Internet of Things. So that's why this particular technology emerges, that is called Internet of Things. And the basic component required for this particular Internet of Things is basically a sensor. What is a sensor? So sensor is a small device that is capable of sensing some environmental condition. For example, say temperature, pressure, or any other smoke or color. It is capable of sensing a particular activity. It is capable of storing that activity, and it is capable of forwarding that particular information to the nearby system. So there we call it as a sensor network. We have a lot of sensors deployed. So each sensor will sense only the corresponding predefined values. Temperature sensor can sense only the temperature. Color sensor will sense only the color. Smoke sensor will sense only, we know that. Okay. And all the informations are collected, and it is fed to a computer. Based on that, some control signals are being generated, and some responses are given, some alarm signals will be sent. So that is done automatically. So that comes the concept of smart home or smart city. So we started talking about a smart home, smart city. So what is the meaning of smart? Smart means smart boy, clever, ability to handle the situation in an efficient manner. Then we call he is clever, he is smart. Okay, so because of this particular emerging technology, that device is capable of handling the situation in an effective manner. That's why we are calling it as a smart system or smart house. I'll give you a small example. Suppose assume that most of us are using this particular, what is a proximity sensor? Proximity sensor means, so most of us are using mobile phone nowadays because of that particular technology. And what is the use of this proximity sensor? So this particular slide, when you bring the mobile phone close to your ears, automatically it will off your screen. And when you move away from that, from the ear position, automatically it will switch on your display. It will power on, it will switch on your display. So this is an automatic process. And this proximity sensor is used to sense that particular thing, and the control signals are fed. So based on that, this action is happening. This is just an example how this particular sensors are used nowadays in smart devices. Okay, so if you are interconnecting all the sensors, and if you are interconnecting all the devices which are attached with lot of sensors, so that forms Internet of Things. And with this particular Internet of Things, we can do lot of application, or we can create lot of applications. For example, I will give you an example. Assume that you are traveling to your home, towards your home, and in your house you have some sensors. In your car also you are having some sensors. So that is capable of broadcasting the corresponding present location. So that sensor will detect as you are just 5 kilometers away. Within 10 minutes you will arrive, and automatically with that particular signal it can switch on your AC 5 minutes or 10 minutes before your entry. And based on the ambience temperature, it will adjust the corresponding temperature and to keep your room ready. So once you enter, so everything will be ready. So that is a smart home application. So we have all the corresponding sensor, interconnection is required and communication is required. So this particular technology, cyber physical system, is not a single technology. It is an interconnection of all different technology and how effectively you are going to manage that. So that comes the concept of Internet of Things. Okay, so this particular picture will give you a better understanding of that. We have industry with lot of smart devices connected to internet and logistic, healthcare, manufacturing, and our home automation system, appliances. So everything is connected. So definitely we do a lot of data analytics, and automatically we can do a lot of findings out of this particular data. And so it is very easy for us to control that corresponding devices. From here itself, we can switch on, or we can switch on the camera in my house in some other location, say US, and I can be able to see and I can be able to control the corresponding devices sitting in India. So this technology provides that facility, and nowadays we started using that. And the shift or the change is going to happen in a drastic manner in the near future. So this is about that Internet of Things, and this graph shows that corresponding amount or usage of that devices, and that is being exponentially growing from year 2015 to 2025. So this is the corresponding growth of the corresponding devices, connected devices across worldwide. So this is another picture of interconnected things. You can interconnect, you can connect anything, and you can control all the corresponding devices with the help of this particular technology. Okay. Now, because of this particular interconnection of things, just assume that the amount of data that is being generated per minute by an user, or by one user or one person. In a old model, when you look back, few companies generate the data and all others started be using that particular thing. Now, it is just the reverse. In new model, I assume that you have an IoT setup. All devices are generating the data, and the generated data is fed, and all of us are consuming that also. So that amount of data that is being generated per person per hour is drastically increased because of this particular technology changes. Hope you understand this. Okay, the amount of data that is being generated by a per person per hour, in 1 hour by one person in the world, that he is generating that much. I'll give you a small example. Assume that you are going to a bank, you are doing digital transaction, you are sending email, you are taking photographs, you are sending the photograph to your friends, you are making a video, you are sending the video to the friend. Just imagine one person, how much gigabytes of data that is being generated by that particular person, and he is pushing that data to internet. So this is how the corresponding, the amount of data that is being generated has increased. So now assume that your data, digital data, is flowing like a very big river or something like an ocean. You have data in your hand. So how effectively we are going to manage this data? There comes the concept of big data now. So what is this big data? Big means something very big. Okay. So data means the information what we have. Okay. So why we need a new mechanism or a sophisticated mechanism or effective mechanism for handling this big data? I'll give you a small example for it. Assume that you have a single page information in your hand. And if I am asking you to find a particular word or a particular sentence out of that, immediately we can find out that. And if you are having a 100-page book in your hand, and if I am asking you to find that, yes, you will take some time. Definitely, you can find out that particular thing. Now, assume that you have a textbook of having some 10,000 pages. And if I am asking you to find out a phrase or a sentence or a word out of that, how much time you will take? Just imagine that. Definitely, we have to put a lot of pain for to identify that particular word or phrase out of that from that book. Okay. Now, what we will do normally, immediately at this point of time, we will try to look off the table of content, or at the back side, you have some index. So these are some searching mechanisms which are already we are using effectively. So with that, so that will help us to locate that particular portion of that particular data or the information in from that book. Definitely we'll look into index or we'll look into the table of content. Okay, so now because of the corresponding volume of data that is being generated is massively increasing like anything, we require some sophisticated mechanism for handling that particular data. And this particular slide shows that corresponding the characteristics of the data that is being generated by all of us. So this volume, we know we can the amount of data, the size of the data that is being generated. Velocity, the rate at which or the speed at which that data that is being generated is also increasing like anything. So variety means we are getting different variety of data, be it in numeric data, audio, video, and lot of the different forms are there. And veracity means we are concerned about a corresponding accuracy of the data that is being generated, because we have a lot of social media and so many informations are coming in and going out. So veracity is another characteristics that reflect whether the particular data represents some accurate value or not, and all those things are there. And the value, whether the corresponding data is representing some useful information or some junk information. And then validity means from where you got this particular data, who is the owner of that particular data. Suppose if it is a government order or it is some from somebody else. So the validity matters. And the variability. So if you take stock market, okay, it is variable, dynamic in nature, that particular data. So whether that particular nature of the data is a variable data, dynamic in nature, whether it changes according to the situation. And so from where you get it, you are getting it from distributed heterogeneous environment, from different types of environment, we are getting the corresponding data. And vocabulary. So now we started using some framework or semantic or data models for collecting data from different data sources. So that is the vocabulary, and we get some vague data, so confused data, interrelated data, so many informations are there. Okay, so now all these informations are coming to our internet. Now our duty is to store this data effectively, and you must be able to extract some useful information out of it as and when we require. So definitely we require a very different types of organizational mechanism for handling this large volume of data having this many different characteristics. Okay, so traditional data management or data handling mechanism, what we are doing nowadays in our traditional computing system is not possible. It is not possible for us to make use of that for handling this type of data. So there comes the concept of an emerging different technology called big data technology. So that is capable of handling this large volume of data with different functions or characteristics. Okay, I think you might have got some insight into it. Now the situation is, yes, you have data, you have a big data mechanism of handling large volume of data effectively, and we know all the information or the data that is being transported in internet is available for public access. Or if somebody intentionally want to see that, he must be able to view that data, or he can modify that also in some sense. Okay, so there comes the concept of security here in the cyber system. We call it as cyber security. So all data information is there, Internet of Things, all the physical devices are connected. So you can switch on and you can see whether somebody is there in that home, or if a thief, he hacks into your network and he can also see whether somebody is there in your home. Okay, so that can happen because everything is available in the internet, and accordingly that access is provided through internet. The legitimate user or the authorized user is also accessing that particular or connecting to that device through internet. And if somebody hacks your network, they can also access your devices from using that particular same technology. Okay, so yes, the technology is good, and it is providing a lot of support or sophistication to that particular users who are using that particular technology. But is it safe? Is it secure? So that comes in the concept of security. And basically, the thing is, immediately when you talk about security, the first thing is called encryption. Instead of transmitting the information in a plain text format, we can encrypt. Lot of encryption techniques are there. We can encrypt, and that we can send the data in an encrypted format so that only the person who knows the key can decrypt. So I have given a small example in this particular slide, the plain text CAT. And the key used is 5. The encrypted text C, B, D, E, F, G, H. So like that, accordingly, you can add on that. You can use different keys. So some at the receiving end, somebody, if he is receiving the encrypted text, if he knows the particular key for that used for encryption, then only he can get the corresponding plain text, and lot of encryption techniques are there. So it is the first step to security. So how we can protect the data from unauthorized user. When you transmit the text in a plain format or plain text format, so this is something like sending the information through postcard. So I think most of us, this younger generation, you are not aware of that particular postcard. So 20-25 years back, we used to pass on the sent by postcards are used. Okay, postcard. On the postcard, we write one side, we have the address place, you will write the address, and on another side, you can write the message, simply you can. So anybody who gets the corresponding postcard on the way can read what is being written in that particular thing. Okay, so now if you have used some encrypted technique, something like that, then only the receiving person who knows the key can read the information that is being printed on that particular postcard. Others will see some junk text is there. They can't understand that. So that is the technology. So encryption is the first step to security. And so because of that nowadays, we have a lot of technology here. And this is another emerging technology that supports security. The terminology is called blockchain. So from the name itself, you can guess something, block and chain. Chain is something like a chain, and block is a small box or package, one block, second block. It is something like a brick. You can imagine something like a brick. Okay, and you are forming a chain. So that is called blockchain. So what is the corresponding security mechanism, or what's the benefit you are going to gain out of this particular blockchain technology? So I'm trying to explain with a small example here. Assume that you are requesting some transaction. You are sending, I want to do this, or I want to do this. So this particular transaction that is being generated by a single user is distributed to 10 or 50 or hundreds of nodes. And that request is being validated by all this corresponding 100 nodes. And individual node receive a request and they will validate the corresponding transactions. And once if you validate, okay, so that validation block, it will be created. Okay, so this particular request is being validated by this 550 systems or 100 systems that you can configure, and you get a validator. And now this validated information is being joined to a chain. Already you have a chain of information that is being created by the same mechanism. So this is joined. So when you are saying about a chain means, so at 10:15 if you are joining it, and somebody is making another request at 10:20, so it will come next to that particular. So in that queue format, it is being joined, and this particular chain is something like a public ledger or public mechanism. So the data is being encrypted, but the chain holds all the corresponding information. And once it is successfully added to the corresponding blockchain, then only it will allow that particular transaction to happen. The system will allow that particular transaction to happen. I think you can understand this better by seeing this particular information. So why this multiple users need to validate? So normally, traditionally also we are using the same type mechanism. When you go to bank, the locker key, you will have two keys. One key, cashier will hold that particular key, and another key, manager will be having that. So suppose if I want to open that particular locker, in that particular order, first you have to put the first key, open the first lock, then you have to put the second key by the another person, open it, then only you can open. So that will definitely improve the security of the system. If the key is with only one person, so it is not that much secure. The same mechanism is being followed here in blockchain in a different manner. Suppose assume A wants to send some money to B. Suppose if A wants to send 500 rupees or 1000 rupees to B, it creates a transaction, and that transaction is something like a block. That transaction holds that. Now that transaction is being exchanged to all the verifiers in that particular network. So it is being forwarded to all, and everybody will validate it. Okay, so that is the approval process. So everybody approves it. So once they approve it, so the approval message comes and the block is being updated now. So it becomes an approved block. So in the second state, it is a block that is being generated. And now after this, the third state, it is being approved now. And now this particular approved block is fixed in the blockchain. It finds the position and it is added in the end of that particular chain. And once after successfully adding this particular verified block to the chain, the money is being transferred from your account to B account. So now this particular chain, it is called immutable. You can't delete that particular entry from the chain. That is the overall organization. So it is very easy for us to trace back. Suppose if something happens, from where it happens, when it happens. So this particular chain is available in a public mechanism, so that it is not possible for me to or anybody to delete that particular entry from the chain. Like that, they have developed that particular mechanism, and it is providing a because every transaction, so we are doing a lot of cashless transactions, okay? And if somebody hacks in and somebody is transferring the account, and it is not possible for me to trace back, so we are the losers, okay? And bank corrupt, many things can happen. So definitely we are looking for an effective and efficient security mechanism for that. So blockchain is one of the important security mechanism, definitely. So this is another emerging technology nowadays. We started using it. Okay. Then now next technology is called cloud computing. And nowadays, I think everybody knows this word, cloud computing. And basically, I want to give a flavor of what is that? What is the use of using this particular cloud computing? Assume that in your family, you are having 4 members in your family. You are planning for a trip and you have your own car. So you have a car, 4 people can comfortably travel on that particular thing, and you have planned that travel, and on that day, you are decided to go to visit a particular place. Immediately, your friend or another family also want to accompany with you. Is it possible for you to accommodate? No, because our car, only 4 persons can travel in my car. Okay, but assume that if you don't have a car and already you have rented a car, and in last minute, suppose if somebody is also joining with you, what you can do? I can change. I can say this person, okay, no, you don't bring this car. I want a big car. A 7-seater is required or 8-seater is required, and accordingly, without any disturbance, you can make a travel. But it is not possible for you to buy a new car immediately, a 7-seater on the fly. Yes or no? So this is an example. Now come to computing. So suppose if I want to do a computation, at present, what I require is I need a computer, laptop, or a PC with a necessary hardware and the necessary operating system and software which is being installed on that, and I can make use of it. So definitely I have a limit. So I have a PC with 8 GB RAM, or I have a laptop with 2 GB RAM. So definitely the type of application that can be ported on that particular device is limited according to the amount of resources which is available in my laptop or PC. That everybody knows. Okay, so this is something like our owned car. So we can't scale immediately because for one day purpose, it is not possible for me to buy a new 7-seater or 8-seater. But when you go for rent, so now cloud computing provides you a facility that you can scale your computational capacity in a dynamic fashion. As and when you require a more computational capacity, that can be scaled. You can rent or you can pay for the amount of time that you have used that particular memory or a processor or a hard disk. And after that, you can scale down. So you can come down and you can do with your so this is something like renting a car. You go for a trip, you can take a van or you can take a bus. 25 people can travel. Next day, come out, use your car for your day-to-day activity. Okay, similar to that, cloud computing provides a facility to the user according to the corresponding amount of time or amount of resources that is being required. You can use it. Okay, so that is the benefit of cloud computing. Now let us see how we are making this particular thing possible. I hope you understand what is cloud computing. And we know now, if I want to do some computation, definitely the central processing unit is required, RAM is required, and if you want to connect to internet, a network interface card is required, and for permanent data storage, we require a hard disk also. We all know this. Okay, so when you want to do some computation, yes, we have all the corresponding hardware devices connected, and an operating system is also required for sending the signals from the application to the hardware device. Yes, I have an operating system, and on top of the operating system, you can have some applications. You can run many number of applications, and with the help of the hardware devices, you can do all the corresponding computational job. This is how now present day we are doing our computation. So for that, we have to own or buy a dedicated hardware, softwares, and all those things. So now, because of this virtualization concept, okay, so that can be migrated in some manner. I'll give you an example. Now, assume that same system setup. Now, at the lower layer, you have the physical CPU, physical memory, physical network interface card, and physical hard disk. And just above that, you have a VMware virtualization layer. It is nothing but a software module. You can just map something like an operating system. This is also a software. So this software is directly sending the interact with all the hardware devices connected just below it. And this VMware is an emulation software, and that is capable of creating a virtual CPU, virtual RAM, virtual network interface card, and virtual disk. Okay, so now you can create any number of virtual CPUs. You can create any number of virtual hard disks. Yes, this is the. And now once if you are creating, in this particular example, you have created 2 instances of virtual hardwares. 2 virtual CPU, 2 virtual memory RAM, 2 virtual network interface card, and 2 hard disks. Yes. Now, for this operating system, this hardware, virtual hardware behaves something like a physical hardware. But actually, it is a virtual hardware. We know, I think you can understand the difference between a physical system and a virtual system. Okay. So this is something like a virtual hardware. And you can run an operating system on top of this virtual hardware. And you can add something like you can run any number of applications on top of that, and it goes. So now, for this particular user, it gives you a feeling that you are using a dedicated PC. This the user who is using this application will also get a feeling that you are using a dedicated PC. But in an actual scenario, it is not like that. You have only one physical hardware, and it is being shared virtually with the help of this particular virtualization technology. So now, because of this particular technology, you can scale up. Assume that you have only 2 GB of RAM connected to the system. You have a memory of 16 GB RAM. So suppose if I want to do another application, I can scale up to 4 GB, or I can scale up to 8 GB. And after usage, I can release this. I can scale down to 2 GB. So because of this virtualization technology, it gives a chance for changing the corresponding capacity of the computational resources, what we are doing nowadays. Okay, so there comes, we started using this cloud technology. So this gives an overall flavor of that particular cloud computing technology. You have a lot of pooled storage, pooled network device, pooled servers, and you have a virtual interface. virtual machines are connected on top of that and the applications. So there is a drastic change in the computational mechanisms what we are using traditionally because of this particular sophisticated flexible technology. It is very flexible, very effective. Okay, and most companies, they don't have to buy a separate data center for doing a computational job. As and when they require, they can use the contact a cloud service provider and they can use that devices for doing the computation. Okay, so now because of this, the way in which it is being managed, so a lot of requirements are there. And in our university also, we have set up a niche private cloud. A private cloud infrastructure is being set up in our university for training and research purpose. So in future days, definitely the employers are looking for such type of trained persons. Okay, so next, another technology, what we normally talk is called robotics, automation, robotics. Okay, so what is that robot? So already we have discussed something related to artificial intelligence. Okay, so how I can imbibe the intelligence artificially to a system, and what are the different mechanisms which are available nowadays, and how effectively it is being managed. So now we are developing a system which can behave something like a human, and we call it as robot. So what are the basic essential things we require for a system to behave something like a human? So we as a human has got 5 sensory organisms, yes or no? So now we have some artificial electronic sensors that can do all the basic functionality. You can have a touch sensor, so that will feel the touch of a human. You can have camera, which behaves something like an eye. You can have some sound sensors that will behave something like your ear. You can have some smell sensors, so that will behave something like a function of your human nose. And if you interconnect all the corresponding sensors with the help of an interconnected mechanism and with the help of a computational mechanism, you can create intelligence, that artificial neural networks. So if I am interconnecting all the corresponding sensors with an artificial neural network connection setup, okay, so that we can recreate a human, something like. Then what are the other physical activity normally we do? Okay, you have 2 hands for moving, for picking something or placing something, and you have leg to move. And similarly, if you are fixing the corresponding devices or corresponding mobile electronic arms or electrical arms or mechanical arms to that particular device, so this particular robot can also move, and it can perform the predefined task or normal function of a human being. And we have a lot of application, and nowadays we started using a lot of application using this robot for surveillance. So nighttime, we don't have to rely on a security person. Okay, this particular robot is capable of moving in a room or in a veranda or along the roadside, and it can capture, it can store, or it can give alarm to the particular person. So a lot of applications are there. And in our university also, we have a sandbot, which is capable of doing this particular functionality. It can move and it can monitor the activity that is being happening in and around us in a room or along the corridor. We don't have to worry. It walks randomly. It captures all the signals. And if you have programmed that, it can generate some alarm signal, or it can dial up to a particular phone that is something is happening. You give attention to this. So like that, robotic applications are available nowadays, and we started using that in our day-to-day activity too. And another terminology, we call it as cobot. It is collaboration of different robots. So here I have given a scenario. Just assume that in operation theater, one person is not there doing operation. Okay, 3 or 4 humans are involved, because everybody is a specialist in a particular area, and accordingly, in a cooperative manner, that operation is being carried out. Similarly, you can do that collaborative activity with the help of a cobot. These robots can communicate with another robot, and effectively this particular robot can make a collective decision and it can perform some function out of it. That is called, the functionality of that is called cobot. Okay. And the next is called autonomous vehicle. That is the another emerging technology now. And I think, so this is something like a driverless car. Okay. Autonomous vehicle means a driverless car. So how this particular technology, I'll give an example of this. Okay. So when you take an automobile vehicle, you have lot of sensors. Okay. And definitely we require a computational mechanism on the device to do the computation of all the corresponding signals that are being sensed by different sensors. Then, based on the signals that are received from different sensors, this particular computer has to generate the control signals and pass on the control signals to the appropriate devices which are connected to your car. You can do acceleration, you can brake, you can change the direction of the vehicle, or according to that. So you have to, this particular processor or computer has to generate that control signals. Okay. So now driverless car, you have a proximity sensor. It will sense the corresponding neighboring area, and it is capable of sensing the corresponding rate of movement of other vehicles along the roadside and what are the obstacles that are available on that particular road. So it is a continuous process. When you are moving on, so normally as a human, what we are doing, so we are observing and using our eye, we are sensing all the signals. The signals are fed to our brain, and based on that, the control signals, okay, so we put a gear or we brake the car, or otherwise we turn the car this side or that side. That functionality we need to recreate automatically. So you feed all the signals. So similar as like a human, you have the corresponding sensors, sense all the signals, fed it to a computer, process it, generate the appropriate signals, and give the corresponding signals to that devices which are connected to that vehicle. Yes, good. So the vehicle will move in an effective manner, and accordingly, so that comes the autonomous vehicle, and lot of other innovations are there. Suppose assume that when if you are driving, suddenly a deer appears. Okay, what? So definitely you require a image processing software which is embedded on that particular. Capture the image, process it, identify the characteristics of that particular obstacle, and based on the characteristics of the obstacle and the movement, whether it is moving towards the car or whether it is moving away or moving along the side of the particular car, or based on that, you have to pass on the corresponding control signals to that. Okay, so a lot of processing is involved, and yes, we have the technology, but we have an effective way or mechanism of handling all the technologies. So there comes the concept of autonomous vehicle. Okay, and now communication. So 4G, 3G, 5G, that word is also nowadays familiar to all of us. Okay, so how effectively we can able to communicate? That is another big challenge nowadays. When you look back the previous history, so communication is used for transmitting some signals to a far off person. That is the mean, that is the requirement of communication. And we started using the old model smoke. If you are in a trouble, okay, you put fire and smokes. So the person who is seeing on from a long distance can see some fire is there or smoke is coming. So somebody is there for assistance. They are requesting assistance from my side. Okay, then so gradually the means of communication has increased. Okay, nowadays the present scenario is easily we are doing a video call, and because of that particular technology, nowadays I am able to talk with all of you, or I am able to give a webinar. I am able to conduct a webinar like this. Okay, so video call, and now in near future a 3D hologram. Okay, that will give you a feel that that particular person is sitting next to you. We will discuss that if time permits, how it is possible. And telepathy. Somebody who is thinking what she or he is thinking. So I must be able to read. So in that manner, the communication technology is moving. Okay. And 1G, 2G is just a generation of technology that is being used for transmitting the signals from one end to another end. So now we are talking about a wireless network. Wireless network means, so we have wired mechanism of transmitting the signal from one point to another point, and wireless mechanism of transmitting the signals over air, and start that first generation. So that first generation devices are started using for basic voice and analog based protocols are being used there. Then second generation designed for voice, and the voice quality is improved, and the digital standards are used for transmitting the signals. Okay, we don't worry about that corresponding detailed technology, that if you are in that particular area, definitely you have to get an insight into it. And fourth generation, you can combine voice and data. A multimedia data transfer is also possible with the help of this third generation. And fourth generation, the connectivity, the corresponding bandwidth is very high. You can transmit audio, video, or combination of both. And accordingly, nowadays, most of us are using this fourth generation wireless technology, smartphones, for our communication purpose. Okay. And now, next coming technology. And now we started talking about of fifth generation. Just to give you a flavor of what is the immediate benefit we get when I switch to the fifth generation, because we have a lot of benefits. So just to give you a flavor of that, what is the immediate benefit we get when I switch to a 5G network? See, just you what is the corresponding data transfer speed? 2.4 kilobits per second is the data transfer speed. Suppose if I am having a first generation wireless device communication mechanism, that is like slowly walking, assume that. Now, second generation, okay, it is 64 kilobits per second. So at a particular, some small jogging like that. Okay. Then third generation, 2000 kilobits per second, something like running. So that much amount of speed or data transfer rate you get. Okay. Fourth generation, you have 1 lakh kbps of connectivity. Okay. So you are going in a motorcycle. So that rate, in that rate you can transfer. And just see what is the corresponding capacity of this 5th generation. So this will give you a speed like you're traveling in a race car or race bike. That much amount of data transfer rate or speed you will get when you switch over to 5th generation. So now I think immediately you can imagine what are all the benefits you are going to gain out of this particular 5G technology. Lot of things. What we are saying today impossible is possible tomorrow. Because of that, we are going to get a device that is capable of transmitting that much amount of data, 1 GB or 10 GB or 1 TB of data within a fraction of a second. You can do wonders, isn't it? So that is the power of this 5th generation technology. So now if you have a sophisticated 5th generation technology, immediate surveillance, immediate monitoring, immediate control, everything, the entire city can be like something like in your hand. And you can control anything with the help of this particular 5th generation technology. So definitely that is becoming a wonder, and you have negative impact also. So how we are going to come out or protect that thread out of which are coming in near future because of this particular technology. So I think, so nowadays drones are becoming cheaper, and persons are started using drones for attacking a city. So that is happening nowadays. You might have heard of that particular news today also. Okay. So if we have a lot of technological facility, we have a lot of good things, and bad thing is also coming. So we need an alternate defensive mechanism is also required for effectively fine-tuning or effectively handling that particular technology. I'm sorry, I'm running short of this time. Okay. So I think this is also interesting. Let me introduce some of that technological benefit to give you a flavor. Okay. So most of us, we know our present day cable TV operated network. Okay. And the technology that is being used called push technology. So your service provider or your cable TV provider is pushing a stream of channels to you, and that will come to your set-top box. Okay. And you are using your set-top box, you can tune, and you are selecting a particular frequency band so that it must be able to view the channel. But From the other end, from the distribution center, their entire frequency band is being tuned and channeled, and it hits up to your set-top box. And the filtration is happening only at your user end. You are tuning to a particular frequency so that you must be able to view that particular channel. Okay, that is the present day technology what we are using nowadays. And there is going to have become a very big change in the corresponding technology that is called OTT. Some of you might have heard about that particular thing on the top. Teletransfer technology. So here you have OTT provider. So here cloud came into existence. So we can use cloud systems. So according to my requirement, you can scale up, scale down. So that process is automatic. So, and here it is called content delivery network. This is also another a cloud computing mechanism. Just imagine you have a cloud computing network that is capable of providing the corresponding content or channel information to the set-top box. Now, up to this, it is coming there. From the distribution center, you have a link to all the corresponding service endpoints, and service endpoints is pulling only the corresponding required channels based on that. So here the benefit is, in the present scenario, if your service provider is pushing only 100 channels, you can see only 100 channels. Okay. But here you are pulling it. Distribution has the entire thing. Okay. According to my requirement, I am sending a request and I am pulling that particular information or frequency band, and I am viewing only that particular channel. Okay. So this is effective utilization of network. That is the immediate benefit we get out of this particular OTT technology. Then, what is the other benefit? So, this information, so this user is pulling this type of videos or this type of channels. So, that information is becoming a very big asset to the advertisers. Okay, and accordingly, you will be seeing only a tailor-made advertisements along with that particular thing. And a drastic change is going to happen because of this particular technology. So nowadays, when you switch on that, and we started realizing this in YouTube's also, you started getting advertisement via YouTube when while viewing the corresponding YouTube also. And now in TV channel also, you are going to, because of this particular technology, you are going to view only the tailor-made advertisements. And suppose if you are looking about some product, only automatically you will receive advertisement related to only to that type of product in your TV also because of this. So because of this emerging communication technology, these things are possible. Okay. On the top, the last thing is quantum computing. Okay. What is this quantum computing? I think this may be new to you, this particular terminology. I'll try to introduce what it is and how it is different from our traditional classical computational technology or computational mechanism. Okay, so when you look into the corresponding traditional computational mechanism, we call it as bit. One bit means it can be a two state. It is something like our switch. You can on the switch or you can off. The switch can be in on state or the switch can be in off state. At a particular time, it can remain in only one state. It is not possible for that particular switch to remain in two states simultaneously at a particular time. So no, just assume our normal physical switch. You can switch on it. The switch will be in an on state. And that on state is represented as 1. And otherwise, you can switch off it. That off state is represented as 0. And that is the corresponding core entity in our classical digital information system. Entire digital information system, that is that we are processing only based on this particular 1s and 0 mechanism. And at a particular time, one bit can represent only one state. It is not possible for one bit to represent two states at a particular time. Okay. Now, because of this quantum technology, we are saying it as qubit. Instead of our normal bit, it is something like a qubit, or it is called entangle. Entangling means, so we have a particle. That particle is spinning. It is rotating in a particular direction, up spin, or down spin, or horizontal spin, or vertical spin, or spinning in a particular angle. So that spinning represents the corresponding state of that bit. So you can represent 4 states with the help of a single qubit. So in our traditional thing, you can represent only 2 states. So here you can represent 4 states, and the spinning process is dynamic. You can change as and when you require. It can be flipped. Okay, so it is dynamic. So that operation. So the capacity, suppose if you are 1 bit, you can say only it can be 1 or 0 in our classical system. In qubit, 1 qubit can represent 4 different states. And when you put the combination of this corresponding, so now if I combine 2 bits, what is the benefit you are getting? 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 4 different. But if I am combining 2 qubits, you can have 2 power 4 entries. Like that, if I am combining more qubits, automatically just you can imagine the capacity of that particular device to store and process the corresponding information is improving drastically like anything. The power of that particular computer is going, we can't compare the power of that computer with our present day any supercomputer. I'll give you a small example. Suppose if you have a very powerful supercomputer and you take some 1 week time to complete a process, so that process can be executed within a fraction of a second with the help of a quantum computer. Okay, so that much amount of computing power is also we are going to get in near future. Okay, it is not in theory. Company they are in the research area of manufacturing this quantum computing devices. Okay, so these are the things about a corresponding 4th generation, 4th industrial revolution technological changes that is being happening nowadays in and around us. Okay, so the spinning process is given in this particular figure. So these are the different type of spinning: up spin, down spin, vertical roll, horizontal roll, all those things. So all this particular thing will help us to represent different bit positions. Okay, so let me help introduce some of the applications of. So far we have been discussing about a corresponding different types of technology and what is the basic behind that particular technology, or what is the functionality of the technology, and for what is the use of that particular technology. And now I think within 5 minutes of time, I can give a flavor of the corresponding different applications, what we can use, what we are using nowadays, or in near future, how we can expand the corresponding usage of those particular application with the help of this emerging revolutionary technology. So it is called augmented reality. Augmented reality means, so virtual reality is old technology actually. Some might you might have aware of that particular thing. Virtual reality means, I'll give a small example: autopilot system. So you can train a pilot with the help of that virtual reality system. So that virtual reality system will give you a flavor that you are driving a plane, and you can change the corresponding signals. So based on the corresponding signals that is being changed, you will get a corresponding impact or feedback of that. And so that system is simulation system is being used for training pilot, that is called autopilot system. So here this is just an extension of that virtual reality, that is called augmented reality. Augmented reality means, so it captures the real world scenario with the help of a camera, and in addition to that, it will add the present, it will edit that particular real world scenario, it will add one more image, and it will be reflected back with the help of a 3-dimensional display device. So with this augmented reality, what I can do is, suppose if you are sitting in your house and attending this particular seminar, you can get a feel that the person who is taking the class is also sitting near to me. So now, with the help of the corresponding 2-dimensional display, you must be able to see my face. Okay, but with the help of this augmented reality, what you can do is, you can feel that the person is sitting next to me and teaching. That type of thing can be recreated with the help of this augmented reality, and in near future we will be using that. Okay, and on the fly you can edit or you can modify all those things with the help of this augmented reality also. and you can interact with the cartoon characters or all the things. So these are the different applications of this particular augmented reality, and it is possible because with the help of a simple three-dimensional display device. So what we require. So nowadays we are having a two-dimensional display device. When you switch over to that three-dimensional display generation capacity, definitely that will give a feel that the person is sitting next to you. That is that there is nothing new or very strange in it. Okay, then another one is called haptic technology. Haptic technology is, suppose I am sitting here. Okay, I can create a feel of touch to a person who is sitting far away. Something like this. If somebody touches me or somebody pinches me, so you can get the feel out of it. So with the help of this haptic technology, so it will sense the corresponding pressure and movement of all the fingers. And that movement or the pressure is being recreated at the opposite end with the help of the corresponding robotic arm, so that that person can feel the touch of a person who is sitting in a far off place. So that is also another application of this particular effective. So now you have a sophisticated computational device, and if you have a 5G technology, the very communication is also very fast. So it is very easy for us to implement all this particular technology with the help of this. And this is another thing, body area network with the touch of a human hand, because our body is a good conductor of electricity. And if you are passing a small electric voltage signal, it won't disturb our body, and we can't sense that also. But if you amplify and pass on the input signal to that electronic devices, so through which you can pass on the signals also, a human body network can also is another application. And nano robots, so that is another area. So you can create nano robots, and that can be injected in our blood streams, so that nano robot is capable of seeing or sensing the corresponding activity that is going inside our human body, and it is capable of correcting or modifying a particular cell structure. So many things are there. So that is another application of this particular emerging technology. And human tattoos. So normally we paste tattoos for an ornamental purpose. So now this particular tattoo is an electronic tattoo. So that can act as a mobile phone, or that can act as a display device, something like your watch. And you can have a lot of different types of application. And actually, no battery is also required. It is a bio LEDs are used, which consumes only very less amount of voltage, and it can generate the corresponding voltage level from the heat that is being generated by our human body. Normally, our human body will have a very good temperature, nominal temperature. And if you have a power generation mechanism that can generate powers from the human temperature, so that is given as an input for this particular tattoo, and it can act as a display device, and that can be pasted. So the technology is going, and so these are the different types of application of the technology. Yes, and three-dimensional printing device is another emerging technology nowadays. So if you have a three-dimensional printing device, and based on the corresponding different types of printing materials that is being used, you can print your own structures. Okay, and so today we have a lot of application. You are printing all this corresponding information, and you are printing the food also, and we are printing different. And this printing is a layered approach. So you give the design, and layer by layer, the corresponding printer will print on that, so that it creates a three-dimensional structure out of it based on the corresponding input. And the technology is somewhat similar to our two-dimensional printing mechanism, but here the printing is done in layers, so that it develops different three-dimensional structures. That's all. So that is also going to become a common application in our day-to-day life. So based on our requirement, you can print and you can use different structures for our day-to-day activity. Okay, so that's all this is. And so in our university also, we have a 3D printer and associated softwares embedded with that particular system to train and give an orientation towards that particular emerging technology also. Okay, that's all. This is I thought I have given some insight into the present day technology, and I think this particular last session was useful to the participants to some extent, because it's a live session. So you can post your comment. If possible, I can give the feedback immediately, because it is being streamed in 2 different channels. Otherwise, I will answer the query in due course, because I have your contacts. So you can, suppose if you are having any specific query, you can send that through email also. So I can give appropriate answers for that through email also.